gave an address a couple of days ago about the situation that's going on in Afghanistan, and he basically said, we went into Afghanistan not with the goal to build a nation or any nation building, so to speak, but to find the people that killed, or to find the people that basically did 9/11 or quote unquote tried to invade the United States, is kind of the word and the verbiage that he used. Then that led to him saying basically they gave the Afghan soldiers enough, like he gave the Afghan soldiers, and the United States government gave the Afghan soldiers enough resources to be able to beat the Taliban, and he gave some numbers which were actually proven to be incorrect, to which then he said it wasn't it wasn't due to the lack of resources that the Afghanis lost this war. It was due to the fact that it wasn't due to the lack of resources that the Afghani lost that the Afghani forces lost this war, but it was due to the fact that they had no gumption and they had no will to fight. And I have a huge problem with this. First of all, Afghanistan is a very, very difficult country to fight in. Okay, that's what I've realized over the last few days. It's filled with mountain ranges. It's in a desert. It's extremely difficult terrain. You have to be very, 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 very well knowing of the terrain and skilled to be able to fight. A lot of Afghani forces are not that skilled to know all of these things, to know about terrain, to know about this, to know about that. There's a couple of forces, and I watched this Vice News clip. There's only a couple of Afghan forces that were like really specially trained by the CIA who are like capable of fighting against the Taliban, but that's about 1,300 men versus a Taliban force of about 80,000 people who know exactly how to fight. They've lived in the freaking mountains their whole lives. They've lived on this dangerous terrain. They know how to fight this war, and they know how to gain control. And so if you're going up with an army of about 1,300 to 1,500 guys versus 80,000 people who know exactly what's up, who know how to hide in the mountains, who know how to surprise attack, yeah, you're fucked. There's no other way to put it. You're done. You're done for. And Joe Biden, when he says that, oh, it was, they didn't have the will to fight, that's such a fucking, that's a lie, first of all. And that's really offensive to the Afghan soldiers who are risking their lives every day to potentially, fight for hopefully gain some control of Afghanistan, which unfortunately, yes, you saw how quickly Afghanistan fell. The forces were not equipped to fight the Taliban. So Joe Biden's claim that he gave them the resources and they just didn't have the will to fight is bullshit. And the reason why these Afghan soldiers gave up these cities was because they're like, we're going to die anyway. We're not well equipped. They were clearly not well equipped enough to be able to defend cities like Kandahar, to defend cities like Kabul, Mazar-e-Sharif. They were done. They couldn't do it. And when Kabul fell a couple days ago, it was over. And, unfortunately, here we are. And the Taliban have control of Afghanistan once again. And that is a scary, scary thought to think of because, dude, when it's a terrorist-run state, foreign policy is going to be fucking nuts. You're dealing with literal terrorists who are the leaders of your country. And all of a sudden, Joe Biden is like, oh yeah, we're just going to pull out, not realizing that the long-term effects that this could possibly have. You suddenly have a state where it's like, oh yeah, we welcome terrorism, and terrorists are welcome to basically breed in Afghanistan, create camps, form whatever attack plans that they have, and wreak havoc amongst this nation. And not even amongst the United States, but amongst the world. And that is a scary, scary thought. And Joe Biden, I feel like, okay, listen, Joe Biden pulled out, that's fine. But maybe there needed to be a better plan. Maybe Joe Biden should have seen that the Afghan forces could not possibly defend against the Taliban. Maybe he needed to be like, okay, let's pull out in stages. Let's make sure that there is an actual government that's in place rather than a president who literally had to flee the country with whatever he had on his back. That's literally what it is. He had to flee Afghanistan with the clothes on his back. He took no money, no nothing. He literally jumped on a helicopter and prayed that he'd survive the flight to the United Arab Emirates. That is what happened. And this is all because Joe Biden decided to just go extreme, pull out all the troops, and let the Taliban take over. Now he's caused foreign policy nightmares for years to come. Probably. And I don't mean to sound negative, but that's just the fact. This is a very negative situation. I mean, Joe Biden, I'm sure, knows way more information than we do as Americans, and particularly as me, just kid sitting on the couch in the Bay Area living at his parents' house, right? What do I know? But what is Joe? Joe knows way more. He has presidential briefs. I'm sure he's briefed on this. I'm sure he has the information to make a good decision on what to do. But man, was this a foreign policy fail. I mean, this was absolutely a failure. And I mean, the poor people of Afghanistan have to deal with the Taliban coming back into power, even though they're claiming that they're going to be much more progressive this time. I mean, how much stake can you really put into that? How much stake can you really put into the fact that the Taliban are suddenly going to become champions of progressive nature? No, that's not going to happen, guys. As much as I'd love to think that the Taliban are all there to just love the soldiers of Kabul and everyone's going to jump up in joy, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And Joe Biden is definitely one of the reasons to blame for that. And I'm sure we're going to look back at this moment in 20 years and be like, wow, Joe, what the frick did you just do? Because you've caused hell and you've caused a terrorism breeding ground for years to come.